15 Black R&B female singers who were the worst sex addicts. They sang about love, strength, and freedom, but history rarely tells you how much courage it took for Black women to live honestly in an unforgiving world. Behind the awards, chart-topping hits, and iconic voices were lives shaped by pressure, judgment, and resilience. These women were praised for their talent, yet criticized for their choices. Tonight, we're not here to gossip. We're here to understand legacy. Stay with us until the end, because what you're about to hear may change how you see fame, power, and womanhood forever. If you respect real stories and untold history, comment below and subscribe to Black Excellence Legends. Tina Turner. From the moment she exploded onto the stage in the 1960s, Tina redefined what power, sensuality, and freedom looked like in popular music. With thunderous vocals, relentless stamina, and a presence that commanded every spotlight, she challenged an industry that often tried to confine Black women into narrow, acceptable roles. By the late 1970s and 1980s, Tina Turner was filling arenas worldwide, selling more than 100 million records globally, and becoming one of the most electrifying live performers in history. Behind that fearless image, however, was a woman who paid a heavy price for living openly and intensely. Tina's early personal life was marked by extreme hardship, including years of documented domestic abuse during her marriage to Ike Turner. Facts she courageously revealed in her 1986 autobiography, I, Tina. Walking away from that marriage in 1976 with almost nothing but her name, she rebuilt her career from the ground up, an almost unheard-of comeback in the music industry. Her 1984 album, Private Dancer, sold over 20 million copies, earned multiple Grammy Awards, and turned her into a global solo superstar in her 40s. Tina never apologized for her confidence, her femininity, or her physical expression on stage. At a time when women were expected to soften themselves, she embraced movement, sweat, raw emotion, and intensity as part of her art. Yet she also drew clear boundaries later in life, choosing peace over chaos. After retiring from touring in 2009, she settled in Switzerland, where she lived quietly with her husband, Erwin Bach, until her death in 2023 at age 83. Tina Turner's legacy is not scandal, it is survival, reinvention, and truth. She proved that a woman can rise from pain, claim her body and voice, and still rewrite history on her own terms. If you believe strength and vulnerability can coexist, Tina Turner's story will always burn bright. Aretha Franklin. Born into a deeply musical environment, Aretha recorded her first album as a teenager and went on to reshape soul, gospel, and R&B with a voice that carried both authority and vulnerability. Her breakthrough came in 1967 with I Never Loved a Man the Way I Love You, launching a run of classics such as Respect, Chain of Fools, and You Make Me Feel Like a Natural Woman. Over her lifetime, Aretha sold more than 75 million records worldwide and earned 18 Grammy Awards, more than any female artist of her era. Unlike many stars, Aretha guarded her private life fiercely. What is known, however, is that she became a mother at a very young age and navigated adulthood under intense public scrutiny while carrying immense professional pressure. Rather than shaping her image around glamour or scandal, Aretha poured emotional depth into her music. Her performances were grounded, restrained, and deeply expressive, drawing power not from spectacle, but from control and conviction. Aretha's influence extended far beyond the charts. She was a symbol of Black excellence, female autonomy, and civil rights, famously performing at Dr. Martin Luther King Jr.'s memorial and later at U.S. presidential inaugurations. In 1987, she became the first woman inducted into the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame, a milestone that acknowledged her role in reshaping popular music itself. In her later years, Aretha continued to perform selectively, choosing dignity over exposure. When she passed away in 2018 at age 76, tributes came from presidents, musicians, and generations of listeners worldwide. Aretha Franklin's legacy is not defined by controversy, but by mastery. A woman who sang with honesty, demanded respect, and left behind a voice that remains unmatched in clarity, strength, and emotional truth. Donna Summer. Donna Summer changed the sound of popular music by transforming desire into rhythm. Known globally as the Queen of Disco, Donna rose to fame in the mid-1970s with a string of groundbreaking hits that reshaped dance music. Her collaboration with producer Giorgio Moroder resulted in songs like Love to Love You Baby, I Feel Love, and Hot Stuff, tracks that blended electronic production with expressive vocals long before it became mainstream. Across her career, Donna sold over 100 million records worldwide, making her one of the best-selling female artists of all time. What set Donna apart was not shock value, but innovation. I Feel Love, 1977, is widely regarded as one of the most influential recordings in electronic music history, inspiring artists across disco, pop, techno, and house. Unlike many performers of the era, Donna used her voice as an instrument of atmosphere, controlled, emotional, and immersive, rather than relying on spectacle alone. Despite her association with disco's sensual reputation, Donna's personal life remained relatively private. She later distanced herself from the genre as public taste shifted and faced backlash during the disco backlash of the early 1980s. Refusing to be boxed into one identity, she successfully reinvented herself, winning 5 Grammy Awards across multiple genres, including R&B, pop, and gospel. In her later years, Donna focused on faith, family, and selective creative projects, stepping away from the relentless pace of fame. She passed away in 2012 at age 63, leaving behind a catalog that continues to influence modern music. Donna Summer's legacy is innovation, not excess. She proved that a woman could redefine sound, cross genres, and remain timeless. Her music didn't just fill dance floors, it rewrote the language of modern pop. Whitney Houston. Whitney Houston was a once-in-a-generation voice, shaped by discipline, faith, and extraordinary emotional range. Emerging in the mid-1980s, Whitney quickly became one of the most successful recording artists of all time. Her 1985 debut album produced 3 #1 Billboard hits, and she went on to achieve 7 consecutive #1 singles, a record that stood for decades. With global sales exceeding 220 million records, Whitney remains one of the best-selling female artists in music history. What distinguished Whitney was control. Trained in gospel and surrounded by musical excellence from childhood, she possessed flawless pitch, dynamic restraint, and the ability to shift from softness to power within a single phrase. Songs like Greatest Love of All, I Want to Dance with Somebody, and I Will Always Love You demonstrated not only technical brilliance, but emotional transparency that resonated across generations. Behind the success, Whitney faced relentless pressure to maintain an image of perfection. Her personal struggles, widely documented later in life, often overshadowed the discipline and professionalism that defined her career. Yet even during difficult periods, her voice remained unmistakable, a reminder of the artist she truly was beneath the headlines. Whitney also broke barriers in film, starring in The Bodyguard, 1992, which became the highest-grossing soundtrack of all time, selling over 45 million copies worldwide. Her influence extends beyond charts. She inspired countless singers across pop, R&B, and gospel, reshaping vocal standards globally. When Whitney Houston passed away in 2012 at age 48, the world mourned not only a star, but a sound that could never be duplicated. Her legacy is excellence, proof that true artistry leaves echoes long after the final note fades. Chaka Khan. Chaka Khan is a vocalist defined by instinct, innovation, and fearless individuality. Rising to fame in the 1970s as the lead singer of Rufus, Chaka helped deliver timeless hits such as Tell Me Something Good before launching a highly successful solo career. Over 5 decades, she has earned 10 Grammy Awards and sold more than 70 million records worldwide, securing her place among music's most respected voices. Chaka's sound defied categorization. Blending funk, soul, jazz, pop, and R&B, she brought elasticity and texture to every performance. Her voice could be tender, aggressive, playful, or commanding, sometimes all within the same song. Tracks like I'm Every Woman and Ain't Nobody became cultural statements, celebrating confidence and self-definition without apology. Unlike many artists of her era, Chaka refused to soften herself for mainstream approval. She embraced experimentation, collaborated with jazz legends and pop innovators alike, and continuously challenged expectations of what a female vocalist should sound or look like. This refusal to conform sometimes limited commercial exposure, but it strengthened her artistic credibility. Chaka has been open about personal challenges, including struggles with addiction, addressing them later in life with honesty rather than spectacle. Her resilience mirrors her music, layered, intense, and unfiltered. Inducted into the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame in 2023, Chaka Khan stands as a symbol of longevity earned through authenticity. Her career proves that power does not require permission, and that influence is built by artists willing to stay true to their voice, even when the industry asks them to change it. Millie Jackson. Chaka Khan is a vocalist defined by instinct, innovation, and fearless individuality. Rising to fame in the 1970s as the lead singer of Rufus, Chaka helped deliver timeless hits such as Tell Me Something Good before launching a highly successful solo career. Over 5 decades, she has earned 10 Grammy Awards and sold more than 70 million records worldwide, securing her place among music's most respected voices. Chaka's sound defied categorization. Blending funk, soul, jazz, pop, and R&B, she brought elasticity and texture to every performance. Her voice could be tender, aggressive, playful, or commanding, sometimes all within the same song. Tracks like I'm Every Woman and Ain't Nobody became cultural statements, celebrating confidence and self-definition without apology. Unlike many artists of her era, Chaka refused to soften herself for mainstream approval. She embraced experimentation, collaborated with jazz legends and pop innovators alike, and continuously challenged expectations of what a female vocalist should sound or look like. This refusal to conform sometimes limited commercial exposure, but it strengthened her artistic credibility. Chaka has been open about personal challenges, including struggles with addiction, addressing them later in life with honesty rather than spectacle. Her resilience mirrors her music, layered, intense, and unfiltered. Inducted into the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame in 2023, Chaka Khan stands as a symbol of longevity earned through authenticity. Her career proves that power does not require permission, and that influence is built by artists willing to stay true to their voice, even when the industry asks them to change it. Patti LaBelle. Patti LaBelle represents control, longevity, and emotional discipline shaped into vocal power. Emerging in the early 1960s as the lead singer of Patti LaBelle and the Bluebells, she built her reputation not through scandal or shock, but through precision and endurance. Her voice, wide-ranging, elastic, and instantly recognizable, became her signature weapon. When she transitioned to a solo career in the 1970s, Patti adapted seamlessly to changing musical eras, proving her relevance across decades. Commercially, Patti LaBelle achieved sustained success rather than explosive peaks. She earned 2 Grammy Awards, received multiple platinum and gold certifications, and remained a consistent presence on the R&B charts well into the 1990s. Songs like If Only You Knew and On My Own showcased emotional maturity rather than youthful intensity, resonating strongly with adult audiences. Beyond music, Patti expanded her influence into television, Broadway, and business. Her best-selling cookbooks and food brand later generated tens of millions of dollars in revenue, demonstrating rare cross-industry longevity for a legacy artist. This entrepreneurial chapter reinforced her image as a woman who mastered both artistry and self-reinvention. Patti's career is marked by restraint rather than excess. She maintained a carefully managed public image, avoided industry controversies, and prioritized professionalism over provocation. That balance allowed her to sustain relevance without sacrificing personal dignity. Patti LaBelle's legacy lies in consistency. She proved that a woman does not need chaos to command attention, nor controversy to remain unforgettable. Through discipline, adaptability, and emotional intelligence, Patti LaBelle built a career that outlasted trends and continues to define vocal excellence. Etta James. Etta James was raw emotion given a voice, unfiltered and uncompromising. Rising in the mid-1950s, Etta brought a depth of feeling rarely heard in popular music at the time. Her sound blended blues, soul, gospel, and rock, creating performances that felt immediate and lived in. Songs like At Last and I'd Rather Go Blind became emotional benchmarks, not because of technical perfection, but because of honesty. Etta's career was marked by sharp contrasts. While her recordings achieved critical acclaim and long-term cultural impact, her personal struggles were widely documented and deeply affected her professional momentum. Despite these challenges, her influence never diminished. Over time, her catalog earned multiple Grammy Awards, including Lifetime Achievement recognition, cementing her place in American music history. What separated Etta from her peers was emotional exposure. She sang without insulation, allowing vulnerability, anger, and longing to coexist within a single performance. That intensity resonated across generations and genres, influencing artists from soul and jazz to rock and pop. In later years, Etta experienced a renewed wave of recognition, performing internationally and receiving institutional honors. Her music continued to be rediscovered by younger audiences, proving its timeless emotional reach. When Etta James passed away in 2012 at age 73, she left behind more than hits. She left a standard. Her legacy reminds listeners that music does not need perfection to be powerful. It needs truth, and Etta James delivered it without compromise. Laverne Baker. Laverne Baker combined confidence, charisma, and rhythmic precision at a time when boundaries were rigid. Breaking through in the 1950s, Laverne became one of the most successful female R&B singers of her era, crossing over to mainstream audiences with hits like Tweedledee and Jim Dandy. Her energetic delivery and commanding stage presence set her apart in an industry that often limited women to decorative roles. Commercially, Laverne achieved remarkable success. She recorded multiple top 10 R&B hits, earned charting singles on the pop rankings, and became one of the first Black women to tour extensively overseas. Her popularity extended internationally, particularly in Europe, where she later lived for many years. Laverne's performance style emphasized authority rather than delicacy. She projected confidence through posture, timing, and vocal clarity, redefining how female performers could command space on stage. That assertiveness influenced later generations of soul and rock artists who followed her lead. Despite stepping away from the spotlight later in life, Laverne's impact remained. She was inducted into the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame in 1991, acknowledging her role in shaping early rock and R&B foundations. Laverne Baker passed away in 1997 at age 67, but her influence continues through the artists she inspired. Her legacy is confidence without excess, a blueprint for power delivered with precision, proving that strength and elegance can coexist in lasting harmony. Betty Davis. Betty Davis was disruption personified, an artist who refused to dilute her identity for acceptance. Emerging in the late 1960s and early 1970s, Betty Davis entered the music scene with a presence that challenged every existing expectation of female performers. Her sound fused funk, rock, and soul with raw urgency, while her lyrics centered on autonomy, desire, and self-definition. Albums such as They Say I'm Different and Nasty Gal rejected subtlety, replacing it with direct expression that startled both audiences and industry executives. Commercially, Betty's career did not follow a conventional path. While her records did not achieve mass-market dominance at the time, they later gained cult status and critical reevaluation. Her influence became clearer in retrospect, inspiring artists across funk, rock, and alternative R&B who embraced bold aesthetics and unapologetic themes. Betty's work anticipated conversations about artistic freedom long before the industry was ready to hear them. Her marriage to jazz icon Miles Davis placed her briefly in the center of public attention, but Betty was never defined by association. She maintained creative independence, writing, producing, and shaping her image on her own terms. That refusal to compromise limited her exposure in mainstream media, but preserved the integrity of her voice. Betty eventually withdrew from the spotlight, choosing privacy over performance. When she passed away in 2022 at age 77, her legacy was firmly established among musicians and critics as that of a pioneer. Betty Davis did not seek comfort or approval. She created space for future generations by proving that artistic truth can outlast commercial hesitation. Natalie Cole. Natalie Cole balanced elegance and intensity within a career shaped by both legacy and self-discovery. As the daughter of Nat King Cole, Natalie entered the industry under immense expectations. She broke through in the mid-1970s with Inseparable, earning multiple Grammy Awards early in her career and establishing herself as a formidable vocalist in her own right. Her warm tone and interpretive skill allowed her to navigate R&B, pop, and jazz with ease. Natalie's career unfolded in chapters. After early success, she faced well-documented personal struggles that temporarily disrupted her momentum. Rather than define her legacy, these challenges became part of a broader narrative of recovery and reinvention. Her 1991 album, Unforgettable, with Love, marked a historic return, selling over 7 million copies worldwide and introducing her to a new generation of listeners. What distinguished Natalie was emotional clarity. She approached songs with restraint and intelligence, allowing meaning to surface gradually rather than through force. This approach helped her sustain a long career that respected tradition while embracing renewal. Natalie Cole passed away in 2015 at age 65, leaving behind a catalog that bridged generations. Her story reflects endurance, not excess, a reminder that growth, humility, and perseverance can redefine success long after the spotlight shifts. Jean Knight. Jean Knight stood out in soul music not by excess, but by authority. She emerged in the early 1970s during a period when female voices in R&B were increasingly tied to spectacle. Yet Jean chose a different path. Her breakthrough hit, Mr. Big Stuff, 1971, became an instant cultural moment, reaching #1 on the Billboard Hot Soul Singles chart and #2 on the Billboard Hot 100, selling over 2 million copies worldwide. The song's success was not driven by gimmicks, but by confidence, measured, self-aware, and unmistakably assertive. What made Jean Knight compelling was restraint. Her delivery was sharp and controlled, projecting independence without theatrical exaggeration. At a time when women in popular music were often expected to soften their stance, Jean's tone carried clarity and self-possession. Mr. Big Stuff was not confrontational. It was declarative, reflecting a woman who knew her worth and refused to negotiate it. Unlike many artists propelled by sudden fame, Jean maintained a relatively low public profile. She focused on performance rather than publicity, allowing her music to speak without manufactured narratives. While her mainstream output remained selective, she sustained a loyal audience through touring and consistent radio presence within the soul and R&B community. Jean's career illustrates a different model of influence. She did not chase controversy, nor did she rely on reinvention cycles. Instead, her impact came from timing, authenticity, and emotional precision. Her voice conveyed certainty rather than provocation, offering listeners a calm but firm assertion of self-respect. Jean Knight passed away in 2023 at age 80. Her legacy endures through a single song that continues to resonate across generations, not because it shouted, but because it stood its ground. Jean Knight proved that power, when delivered with composure, can be just as lasting as spectacle. Sylvia Robinson. Sylvia Robinson was a builder of sound, space, and opportunity. Long before she was known as the mother of hip-hop, Sylvia Robinson had already forged a successful career as a singer and songwriter. Beginning in the 1950s, she recorded R&B hits that demonstrated a confident, expressive vocal style. But her greatest contribution came later, behind the scenes. In 1979, she co-founded Sugar Hill Records, a label that would permanently alter the direction of popular music. Sylvia's most influential decision was believing in rap as a commercial art form. When others dismissed it as a passing street trend, she helped bring Rapper's Delight to life, a record that sold over 8 million copies worldwide and introduced hip-hop to a global audience. That single did not merely chart, it shifted culture, opening doors for countless artists and establishing rap as a mainstream genre. What made Sylvia distinctive was her dual authority. She understood both creative instinct and business discipline, balancing artistic risk with strategic vision. As a woman operating in a male-dominated industry, she commanded respect without spectacle, relying instead on results and consistency. Even after Sugar Hill Records declined, Sylvia's impact remained undeniable. She had helped construct an industry infrastructure that others would build upon for decades. Her influence extended beyond chart numbers into ownership, authorship, and representation. Sylvia Robinson passed away in 2011 at age 76. Her legacy is foundational rather than performative. She did not chase attention, she created platforms. By trusting her judgment and acting decisively, Sylvia Robinson reshaped modern music history and ensured that future voices could be heard. Marlena Shaw. Marlena Shaw represented sophistication shaped by discipline and depth. Rising in the late 1960s and 1970s, Marlena developed a sound that blended jazz, soul, and pop with precision. Trained in jazz tradition, she approached music intellectually, selecting material that allowed interpretation rather than exhibition. Songs like California Soul and Woman of the Ghetto reflected social awareness alongside musical refinement. Unlike artists driven by commercial cycles, Marlena chose longevity through adaptability. She navigated multiple genres without losing identity, maintaining relevance through musical intelligence rather than reinvention gimmicks. Her phrasing was deliberate, her timing exact, and her performances carried emotional weight without exaggeration. Marlena also crossed into film and television, expanding her career while maintaining artistic credibility. She never relied on controversy or spectacle, instead building respect through consistency and professionalism. This restraint helped her sustain a long career across changing industry landscapes. When Marlena Shaw passed away in 2014 at age 66, she left behind a body of work admired for its balance of feeling and control. Her influence can be heard in artists who value phrasing, clarity, and narrative strength. Marlena Shaw's legacy is elegance rooted in substance. She showed that intelligence and soul could coexist seamlessly, and that lasting impact often comes from precision rather than excess. After hearing these stories, one question remains. Were these women truly too much, or were they simply too honest for their time? If they had been men, would their lives be called legendary instead of controversial? History often celebrates freedom until it belongs to Black women. Now it's your turn to decide. Do you believe society judged them unfairly, or were they misunderstood by design? Leave your thoughts in the comments because your voice matters. If you believe Black excellence deserves truth, depth, and respect, like, share, and subscribe to Black Excellence Legends for more powerful stories.